Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Viva Film Podcast. My name, it's Anthony, and today I am joined by my number one, Caleb. Caleb, how are you doing today?
Do I have to do a Jonathan Frakes impression for this?
You don't have to, but if you'd like to, you are more than welcome.
Okay, this is my Jonathan Frakes impression. Completely false. They made it up.
Okay.
You know from that show he was on where he's like, "Oh, this wasn't real."
Oh yeah. The mysteries or the unsolved mysteries.
Yeah. Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah. Is that still on?
I don't think so. I mean, I would hope that Jonathan Frakes is just still doing something.
Oh, I follow him on Instagram, and he's definitely doing a lot. He's been reposting and posting and whatnot, especially like Star Trek memes and Star Trek fan art and stuff. So.
But not the typical Star Trek memes that me and you talk to each other about.
The ones from Reddit, that are like all from 2011 and are still using impact font.
Yeah, and it's all just like, haha, Wesley's annoying, and it's like, yeah, I know.
We all know he's annoying. That's why he went on his gay excursion with the Traveler. Okay, that's.
You know, I'm glad I'm not the only person who has said those exact same words at one point in my life.
What they need to do is they need to do a Wesley Traveler spin-off show where it's just them like going around to different beds and breakfasts around the galaxy and just being like a cute gay couple.
Oh,
doesn't that sound so charming and quaint?
It does. I remember when I was watching Next Generation for the first time, I saw my buddy Steven. Our buddy Steven. You also are friends with him and know him.
This is the second mention of Steven during this series, by the way.
Yeah, he used to be a ghost on the old podcast. He used to be on the old podcast.
On the old podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
Now he won't even go within 10 feet of a microphone.
Yeah, I also he sent me a text like 2 days ago that I have forgotten to respond to. I need to get back to him on that.
Oh, Caleb, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's not even like you have a good excuse either. Like you fell and hit your head and we're in the hospital. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah.
By the way, Caleb is fine now. He's
yeah, good. I'm okay. I'm fine. But I remember telling him that I was like the Traveler and Wesley thing always came across as having gay undertones to it.
It really does. And it doesn't help that the Traveler is so incredibly gay.
Yeah.
Like Wesley could really go one of each way, I feel like. But the Traveler is definitely gay coded.
Yeah. And the Traveler shows up. Isn't he in like the second or third episode of the series of Next Generation?
Man, I don't remember. But he is there very early on, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, Wesley never did invent that grand because they kind of switched what the whole thing with Wesley was anyway. Like early on, it's that one day he's going to like invent something great and amazing that's going to be helpful for the future. But then it's just like, no, you get to ascend to godhood.
It's your consolation prize.
Yeah. It's the way they end Wesley is so, his whole arc is so weird by the end.
It is strange. And there's that one episode where he invents those little like microscopic robots that like eat the Enterprise.
I don't even remember that episode.
I think that was like in season 1 or something.
Oh, yeah, that's why I don't remember it.
Yeah, nobody remembers season 1.
Yeah, those costumes were too tight. I was distracted by Patrick Stewart's ass to be paying attention.
You know, those costumes gave him back problems.
Yeah, that's why. But it's also funny because like I was thinking about this last week, but this is the second episode in a row where like I've like made a sexual comments about Patrick Stewart in like a jokey way.
Well, listen, man, it's okay if you're into Patrick Stewart. That's totally fine. But like, I get it. He's a good looking man.
But it's
good looking man.
It's funny because do you remember when Red Letter Media they made that joke about like Patrick Stewart like popping off like or something. And said something about like Vosh studying his like old dinosaur bone, and then William Shatner watched that and got really offended that they would say anything about Patrick Stewart.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, the William Shatner getting mad at Red Letter Media is one of the funniest things that's ever happened. Like, not for them. I'm sure that was annoying and soul crushing, but it like from the outside looking in, that was hilarious.
It was very funny. Yes, indeed. But enough about Red Letter Media and enough about
don't watch them. Watch us.
Yeah, and by watch I mean listen.
Yeah, we don't have video.
Not yet. But enough about Caleb's undying romantic interest in Patrick Stewart. We're here to talk about other things. But before we get into it, Caleb, how was your week? How have you been since the last we spoke?
I've been better, I suppose. No, I'm doing great. I'm doing okay. It's we're having a good time. We're watching some Star Trek. We're talking about some Star Trek. I watched movies that aren't Star Trek. I watched Ballerina, the John Wick movie, which I thought was fine.
Okay, yeah. That was one of those films that like I almost saw, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Still haven't seen it.
I feel like it was supposed to come out earlier than it did because it feels like it's the choosing to release this after the fourth movie was a really strange decision. And then I watched Carol, which is a great film that we'll probably talk about here sometime. Maybe pair it with May December.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I don't know if it'd be fun, but we'll get into some heavy themes.
You know, those are both movies that I like for different reasons.
Yeah.
So. Very cool. Yeah, I've seen a couple movies too. I saw the big movie that came out a couple weeks ago, One Battle After Another,
yes,
starring Leo DiCaprio, and also Chase Infinity is in it. Wonderful name, wonderful performance, and Sean Penn. And a fucking great movie, really good movie. I saw it in 70mm IMAX at the AMC in Universal, and I'm going to see it on VistaVision in a couple weeks. And I definitely recommend our listeners go check it out. Go watch it. And after you're done watching it, go read the book, Vineland, by Thomas Pynchon, which the movie is loosely based on.
Wow. So. We love a loose adaptation sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, sometimes we love a loose adaptation. And sometimes they put Jacob Elordi in my favorite Victorian Gothic romance. And I don't know if I'll be able to cope.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's almost like me and you in particular were punished for liking Saltburn.
I think that's where both of our problems started. Was the fact that we had positive opinions about Saltburn, while everyone else on the internet was shitting on it. We were like, no, it's like it's fun and it looks nice. You know, what else do you want? I mean, Sophie Ellis Baxter, song. Come on.
Yeah, and you got food poisoning after we saw it.
I did. Yeah, that was the first. That was the first of many punishments.
the 12 trials of Anthony.
Yeah. All right. Well, check back in 5 months to see what I thought of Wuthering Heights. Cool. So, Caleb, we're talking about Star Trek.
Yeah.
This episode. Again, this is our second episode in the series. But before we get into it, I do want to issue a very quick apology. I would like to apologize for talking so much shit on Star Wars. I did not realize until I was editing and mixing the episode. I was like, wow, we talked a lot about Star Wars. In comparing it to Star Trek and how we both thought that Star Trek was just better than Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We didn't mean to. It just ended up happening, and from here on out, we will keep the shitting on Star Wars to a minimum.
Yeah. I'll save it for the end of the episode. I'll just do it all at once.
Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the Star Wars fans before we move on, Caleb? Would you like to apologize to them or just kind of ensure them that you're not anti-Star Wars? You're not a hater.
Mm. Well, look, first of all, I'd like to say that everything I said about Star Wars last week, I stand by.
Okay.
I liked what I said, how I loved what I said. Fuck Star Wars. And
okay.
Get off of Reddit.
No. No, Caleb, we don't say fuck Star Wars, okay?
I love Star Wars. I just want to clarify. I unfortunately do love Star Wars.
You see, that's the thing, is that you and I both really do like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that's why we talk about it so much. We did a whole episode on Star Wars, everybody.
We did.
Go listen to it. Go listen to our Star Wars and Discourse episode from a few years back. Yes, we want to...
It almost became our lost episode because my computer crashed while we were recording it.
Yeah, I remember that. Knock on wood, that does not happen tonight while we're recording this episode.
Yeah.
So. I mean, we've done like 60 episodes, I think, and only once have we had almost a mishap.
Yeah. Well, we had the episode where my audio got ruined.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the one where we had to use a separate recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Alrighty then. Well, Caleb, this week we're talking about some more Star Trek.
So the first film we're talking about today is Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Directed by Leonard Nimoy, written by Harve Bennett, based on Star Trek by Gene Roddenberry. Cinematography by Charles Correll. Edited by Robert F. Shagru, and starring William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, George Takei, James Doohan, Walter Koenig, Nichelle Nichols, Robin Curtis, Merritt Buttrick, Phil Morris, Carl Steven, Vadia Potenza, Stephen Manley, Joe W. Davis, Mark Leonard, and Christopher Lloyd. And the synopsis is they search for Spock.
And where was Spock the whole time? Where did they leave him?
They left him on.
Where did they misplace him?
They left him on Genesis so he could be a baby and then grow so fast that he's the friend they missed and knew.
The Search for Spock. This is kind of like the middle, right? This is like the middle of the whole series.
Oh, I thought you said I thought you were talking about the film's quality. It is in the middle of the series, yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's kind of in this like kind of unofficial trilogy that is smack right in the center of the Star Trek series as a whole, right? Because you have the motion picture, and then you have on the other side you have the one with God and the starship, and then of course you have Undiscovered Country. And then in the middle, you have this kind of trilogy of Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and then Voyage Home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right there in the middle, man. And I felt like this could have been an episode of a Star Trek TV show. And what I mean by that is it should have been like 40 minutes long.
Yeah, this one, I don't think this is an awful movie or anything like that. There's way worse Star Trek movies.
We'll be talking about one of them next time.
Yeah, and but Search for Spock, I think the thing with it is it does feel like it could be an episode, but it also just feels because there's a lot of elements at play with it. You have the crew of the Enterprise trying to, because Spock dies in Wrath of Khan, but his consciousness is inside of Bones' head.
Yeah, they do the Vulcan mind meld, and Spock gives his mind to Bones, or it's a copy of his mind or something.
Yeah, and then his body is on Genesis, which we didn't really get into what Genesis was last week, but it's basically this like machine that that can restore life to dead planets. But Kirk's son David, who was working on it, used some stuff he shouldn't have, so it's actually not working, and stuff is like growing, and it's the development is happening too fast. So while this is happening, Spock is a baby but starts to like grow and like go through puberty and stuff during it, while Saavik and David try to protect him from Klingon Christopher Lloyd. And it's just it's one of those things where like you have all these elements, and like the beginning of the movie is pretty good. Like you have a lot of like William Shatner and the whole crew of the Enterprise just being sad that Spock is dead, and that is really good. It feels like a follow-up episode of a TV show or like a season premiere. But then you get this very like rushed Genesis arc thing with like the Klingon, and then the Klingon element is like pretty shoved in there, even though I do think Christopher Lloyd gives a great performance. And it just especially like the whole thing with like Saavik taking care of Spock, like there's some really weird elements there, and in the original script they wrote this and they kept it out, but I guess in the original script Saavik was going to become pregnant with Spock's baby in the script, which doesn't make any sense because she doesn't have sex with him, and that would be wrong and disturbing. So it's like, that's weird, and it just has all these strange elements where it's supposed to be about like rebirth and like life and all this stuff, but like they also like have to like shove in a villain, and they have to shove in like all these characters, and it just doesn't quite come together. But at the center of the movie, you do have a really good performance from William Shatner, who at the beginning is like really sad, and then when his son is killed, he has this great performance where he kind of like falls backwards in front of his chair. That's great, but at its heart, this is just a kind of awkward film that kind of has to explain Spock coming back, and it also just feels very lame after how great the last movie was to just be like, oh, don't worry, he's back now.
Yeah, it does. The film does feel a little tacked on, I guess, and I've spoken to you about this before, but about how this plot about how Spock's mind was actually like saved inside of Bones, and William, and I almost called him William, but Kirk is supposed to like take Spock back to Vulcan, to for like rebirth or whatever. And it's like, why didn't, like, I guess, and it's very nitpicky, but like, why didn't they know that? That seems like something that they would have known, or they would have been aware of, like Spock's not the only Vulcan who served in Starfleet.
Yeah.
And like humans have known the Vulcans for, at this point, I think like 200 years?
Yeah.
Or something. Like they were the first contact, right? So it just seems kind of weird that like nobody would be aware of that they're supposed to do this thing. And of course, the reason why is because they hadn't planned on bringing Spock back. Bringing Spock back was kind of a last-minute thing because he's so popular. So yeah, the film, like the first time I saw it, I was not a big fan of it, and rewatching it again, I do like it a little bit more. I think that the stuff in the beginning was really good. I loved when they were breaking Bones out of prison; like that was a lot of fun. Or breaking him out of jail. He wasn't in prison, but that was cool, and it was cool seeing Sulu beat up that really tall guy.
Oh yeah.
He's like, hey, don't call me tiny. And then when they're stealing the Enterprise, like all this stuff is really fun. It's like it has like that upbeat energy, and it's a good time. And then where I think the movie kind of falls apart for me is definitely in that third act, just kind of wrapping everything up. You mentioned earlier we have Christopher Lloyd, who's playing the Klingon commander. What do you think about Christopher Lloyd and his performance as a Klingon, and more importantly, what do you think about his Klingon pooch?
So his Klingon pooch looks like he was ripped off the set of Return of the Jedi. Like you can imagine seeing that in like Jabba's palace or something.
Okay.
But that's not me saying I don't like the dog or that I hate Star Wars. I do like the dog. I think it's wonderful. And I'm sad that it dies in an explosion. But yeah, I think Christopher Lloyd...
Well, they all die in the explosion. All the Klingons are dead by the end of the film, yeah. I believe.
And but I think Christopher Lloyd as a villain is wonderful. He loved doing this, apparently. It's like one of his favorite performances he's done. And I can see why. Because he's just like... There's not a lot of complexity there, especially like following up from Khan. You just have this like really talented, great actor who is just giving a really great, like solid, vile villain performance. I love when he like beams down to Genesis, and then they see the like snake kind of thing, and he like just starts like choking it and squeezing it, and it's like so extra because he could have just shot it or stabbed it, but he's like, I'm gonna let this wrap itself around me, and I'm gonna choke it to death.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Christopher Lloyd's performance. It was very hammy and very over the top in a way that is very enjoyable. And there's that great line where Kirk is like, it's like the planet's falling apart, and Christopher Lloyd responds with exhilarating, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have like these really great lines, and I do think Christopher Lloyd does give like a really solid performance as a villain. But yeah, I don't know. I just have a hard time kind of caring about like what the Klingons are doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know they're going after the Genesis project, and then they decide that they're going to kill one of the people on the planet, and they end up killing Kirk's son when Kirk's son sacrifices himself. But yeah, I just, and at this point they hadn't really fleshed out like the Klingon culture or the Klingon, you know, hierarchy yet. But it does, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like they have the same like depth that we would get in TNG years later.
Mm-hmm.
Where I feel like they definitely really fleshed out the Klingons and made them into these really interesting, you know, characters. But it does feel, I don't know, a little half-baked for me, that aspect of the film.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like the Klingons in like the original series and then in these movies are not nearly as interesting as they are in Next Generation, because like when you think about how culturally significant Klingons are, like it was a big deal with like nerds in like the 90s where like people like learned how to speak Klingon because it's like an actual language. Like people have like Klingon themed funerals. Like they got really into like the culture and the way of it. And like it's one of the things where from the outside looking in, it's kind of like, what the fuck is that? But then after watching the show, it's like I can understand why someone would be so into that, because I always loved the Klingon episodes, and I think Worf is a fantastic character.
Yeah, the Klingon episodes were great. Worf is a great character. I gotta love my girl Kalar.
Mm-hmm.
Kalar is, she's one of the greats, and Alexander was also there.
Yeah.
You did mention the Klingons in the TV show. I'm curious, when was the last time you saw like the TOS era Klingons?
It's been a little bit, but I know that they look terrible in retrospect.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. I saw like fairly recently, just like I think last month, I saw the episode Errand of Mercy, which was their first appearance, and it is really strange. Well, I mean, strange, interesting, curious, however you want to say it. Like comparing the way the Klingons look and act, especially in TOS, comparing them to later, because they are so very different.
Yeah.
For you know, some of the differences are for obvious reasons. You shouldn't be taking white people and putting them in like brown face and then giving them Fu Manchu mustaches.
Yeah.
Like that's weird. But then also in the series, they seem a lot more like diplomatic and a lot more cunning.
Mm-hmm.
And then later incarnations of them, they're just kind of like this. I don't want to say brutish, but they're this warrior race that definitely put like their like they act more on instinct than anything else. And so seeing that kind of difference between the TOS era and then the Klingons after the TOS era, it is a fascinating juxtaposition for me.
Oh yeah, and it's also interesting because like the Klingons, like they did become so iconic, like this kind of like noble, like kind of warrior race that
Mm-hmm.
that you know takes honor very seriously. Is in the Mass Effect games, they have the Krogan, who are based on Klingons very obviously, and they act in like that and do that. So it's just one of those concepts that I think really works. I think really resonated with people, and they just thought was like cool as hell. And plus, like the Klingons always have a big knife.
They always got a big knife. But I do want to point out that you know, the Klingons, like you said earlier, they are this race of honor, but in this film, they almost kill a prisoner by stabbing them in the back.
Yeah,
which doesn't seem very honorable.
That's not there. There's no honor in stabbing someone in the back.
There isn't. No, I mean, if this was like TNG era Klingons, they would have given them a knife and challenged them to a knife fight to the death or something. And you would have had like this really fun choreographed scene where they're just throwing each other around and not actually stabbing each other.
Yeah.
Until like the very end. But yeah, we start to get kind of the beginning of what the Klingons would become. I think, you know, they started kind of fleshing them out in this movie. There's still a little bit to be desired. I think they take a huge step forward in Undiscovered Country, which we'll be talking about next time. And then, of course, in the TNG Rick Berman era is when we would get like the Klingons proper. And those are the Klingons that, Star Trek fans today know and love.
Yeah, it's interesting because like well, first of all, it's interesting that the newer movies shied away from them so much.
The Kelvin
timeline. They appear like, I think there's like 2 Klingons in like Into Darkness for like 5 seconds.
There was also a deleted intro where, and we'll talk, I guess, more about this later, but where Eric Bana's character is like held hostage by Klingons.
Oh, that's cool.
But you don't actually see them. Like, you don't see their faces. They're like wearing helmets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Strange.
That is really strange. It's a strange new world, some would say. But yeah, because one thing that's interesting though that we'll get to next week is how, like, for this movie and these movies, this is still pre TNG.
It is, yeah. But yeah, we're still in that like TOS era.
Yeah, but by the time we get to like Undiscovered Country, TNG is like well into, it's like season, I think they were in like season 4 when Voyage Home came, or not Voyage Home, when Undiscovered Country came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then of course Generations happened right after that.
What a fucking movie!
What a movie indeed. So we both enjoy Christopher Lloyd's performance as the Klingon leader, and I know he has a name, but I'm not going to look it up. I think it's said once in the movie.
Yeah,
is his actual name. But did you know that originally, or one of the actors that they were circling before Christopher Lloyd was Edward James Olmos?
Yeah. Which I think that would have also been good.
It would have also been good, but it would have been a much different performance. I think it would have been a much more reserved, much more. I think it would have been closer to the Klingons we have in TOS.
Yeah,
of being like very calculating and very diplomatic. Of course, it would have been fun to also see Edward James Olmos like go off the rails and just be like crazy Klingon.
Yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah, it's also interesting that like we haven't really gotten into it, but like Leonard Nimoy directed this film.
Yes, Leonard Nimoy directed this film. Do we know the story behind why that happened? Like what was his deal, man?
That's a good. I think it was just because I think he wanted to. Because I think I would guess that the idea was that he signed on before they knew they were bringing Spock back, so you could just keep him around as like the director, which I think that would have been really cool. But he ended up, I wish he'd done more movies because he only directed like 4 or 5 movies.
Yeah, and one of them he directed was a film about a young kid who marries an old woman or something.
Yeah.
You were telling me about that before we started recording.
Yeah, I made a shocking discovery when looking at his
filmography. God.
But it's also funny because like I think Leonard Nimoy, like in Search for Spock, like I think he does a great job directing like Christopher Lloyd. And William Shatner, because apparently, like whenever David dies, Leonard Nimoy's direction to William Shatner was just respond however you feel like you would, like just do what you feel works in the scene,
which ended up with like a really great scene. And again, going back to what we were talking about last week with people who don't think that William Shatner is a good actor. I mean, this scene, like the scene where he where his son is killed, is fucking heart-wrenching.
Yeah, it really is.
I thought he did a fantastic job, and apparently, there's when he goes to sit on the chair and he like falls to the ground. I guess that just like wasn't scripted. Like that just kind of happened, and he kept going with the scene.
Yeah,
that's what acting's all about, baby.
No, exactly. And then also speaking of Leonard Nimoy directing, I think William Shatner maybe got a little jealous and was like, well, now I got to direct one.
Yeah, that'll be next time. But yeah, there was some stories about how when they were making these films that they would have to like rewrite scenes so that Kirk would be the first one who entered and would be like the first one to speak, and that every decision a crew member made would have to be made off a suggestion of Kirk because they wanted to make sure that Shatner didn't get his feelings hurt or something.
Yeah, which is crazy when you consider that most of the other cast members get like jack shit to do unless you're Bones or Spock.
Right. Speaking of Bones is quite important in this film. Is isn't he?
Yeah, he gets to basically play Spock in a couple scenes.
There are a couple scenes where he plays Spock. What do you think about that? What do you think about him doing his Spock impression?
I think he does a pretty solid job. I think those are entertaining scenes. The bar scene, I think is really fun, really delightful. Where the waitress asks, like, "Oh, that's not your normal poison." He's like, "Why would I be served poison at a bar?"
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. Yeah, I think he does a great job. It's always great to see Bones. I like the scene where Kirk goes into Bones' quarters and it's lovingly lit. And he just like looks at him and he's afraid because Bones is like, "I'm Spock, Jim. I'm Spock." He doesn't say it like that. I don't know why I was doing a Shatner impression when I was saying that either.
Like,
but
damn it, Jim, I'm Spock, not Bones.
And I don't know. It's just like I think it works really well. I like because Bones is always kind of like the. It's funny because for how much like Kirk and Spock get talked about by like non-fans, Bones really is their like third. Not in a romantic sense, but like maybe in a romantic sense.
I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, it's like but just and Bones is such a pivotal, important character, and he's one of the best Star Trek characters. I feel like people just don't like non-fans just don't realize how great Bones is, how funny he is, how great of an actor DeForest Kelley was.
I completely agree. I love DeForest Kelley. I know I mentioned last week that Bones is one of my favorite characters. I love him. I love his reaction to things, and especially in the following film when he's in the hospital.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But Bones is great. He's fantastic in this film. Great performances all around. Surprisingly, Nichelle Nichols kind of just like dips out of this film for like the entire middle. We don't see her at all until the very end.
I literally like, and this is, I forgot she was in the movie. Like when she shows up at the end, I was just like, oh yeah, there she is.
There she is. Yeah. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if there was like some disagreement or maybe she had, like scheduling conflicts or something, but like for the entire middle part of the film, when they steal the Enterprise, Nichelle is just kind of like, or playing Uhura is just like, okay, I'll see you at the rendezvous, and the rendezvous was Vulcan, I guess, and she just like took a cab there or something.
Yeah, it was really I don't know. It's such a like I was saying this last week, but I really do feel bad for the side characters because like in Voyage Home, like Chekhov gets a lot to do and like Scotty gets more to do, but like a lot of times it feels like, especially like Sulu and Uhura, just kind of like are there.
Yeah, they do end up kind of being ancillary characters, and like honestly, when you watch TOS, that's kind of the case there as well. It's definitely like I think, and I've only seen the first season, so maybe it changes in the second and third. But the first season of the original series is definitely, it's very much the Kirk, Spock, and Bones show.
Yeah.
With friends, and that's that, and you kind of get that feeling during this film as well.
Yeah, it's just it's just really unfortunate, and I have some opinions about the side characters and one actor's performance in particular in the fourth movie.
Okay.
But which I'm curious to see if you also felt this way or noticed it, but yeah, in this film, I don't know. It's just like, and that's the thing about Search for Spock is like, and one thing that's also unfortunate is it's unfortunate that there's like no way that you can watch these movies without knowing that Spock will come back. Like,
yeah. Which is something I was gonna kind of ask about because, so obviously we know Spock doesn't die in this movie, or in the previous film. He comes back. How do you feel about the fact that they brought him back? Like what's that about?
I mean, on one hand, I think it's bad narratively to bring characters back from the dead 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, Nicholas Meyer, who is Kristen Stewart's father-in-law, would definitely agree with you.
Yeah,
he had opinions about their decision to bring back Spock, and he did not agree with it. He did not think that it was a good idea.
Yeah, and like you have that, and it's just one of those things where like it's also such an iconic death that it's so weird that it just gets like unwritten.
Yeah.
In the next film, but also it's just, I don't know. I think it feels kind of lame. Like, and again, I love Leonard Nimoy and I love Spock, and it's not that I don't want to see him in stuff. And like one of my favorite X-Men characters is Jean Grey, so trust me, I know a thing or two about your favorite characters dying and coming back every other year. And
every other week, man.
Yeah. But it's just like, from a storytelling perspective, I don't think it helped the story, and I don't think it made this a better movie to bring him back, as much as I love Leonard Nimoy and his performance. Like, I do think ultimately it was a mistake, even though, like, he'd be great in later movies. He's great in the next movie. He's great in the episodes of Next Generation he's in. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, I think it's lame to do stuff like that. I don't think you should. If you're going to bring a character back from the dead, you have to have a really, really solid narrative reason. And if someone is just like, oh, well, Caleb, do you have examples? It's like, well, yeah, I have a shit ton. I read comics. So like Jason Todd, like, that's a great example where, like, his death is super impactful, his return is super impactful. Like, that makes complete sense. So, like, and it changes, it adds to the narrative in an interesting way where it's like you go, oh, what if Robin died but then came back to life and was shooting people and killing them? That's interesting. I mean, maybe it's a little edgy, but, like, it's interesting at least. And as opposed to, what if Spock came back because he was a baby on a planet that grew too fast?
Yeah, I'm in the same camp as you. I don't like it when they kill off a character just to bring them back, like in the next episode. I do think that that's kind of annoying. There's a part of me that wants to call it like it's like thematically dishonest or something. I don't know if that's the correct word. But then on the other hand, there is the fact that within the universe, Spock becomes a very important character.
Yeah.
And he's very pivotable, whatever that means. He's very pivotal in the Star Trek universe, and not only in this timeline, but in the next timeline too. He's also very important. So he does become one of the most important characters in Star Trek, arguably, and that wouldn't have happened if he had remained dead. So, yeah, I think, and there's the fact that I love Spock. Spock is also one of my favorite characters, and so I do feel like the ends justify the means, but it is kind of frustrating. Maybe they could have had at least one movie in the middle where Spock's not there, and he's like dead. It does feel kind of strange that, like, okay, you watched the previous film and there was this really emotional thing and he gets shot out of the Enterprise and Scotty plays the bagpipes, which is fantastic. But then in the next scene, it's like, no, never mind.
Yeah.
He's back.
And it starts with like a montage of the ending of the previous movie too.
Just in case you don't remember, which I guess back then made sense. Like you wouldn't have had a DVD at home where you could watch it again.
Yeah, you last saw it 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think Search for Spock, unfortunately, is pretty underwhelming. But I will say that about the resurrection of Spock is like, it is one of those things where, like, look, even though I disagree with them bringing him back, I do like a lot of the stuff with him later. And it's one of the things where, like, you can have like a bad decision or something, like, or a bad piece of writing, and then you can expand upon that and like make it work and do good stuff with it later. Like, just it's not like, oh, because this brought Spock back, the next 3 movies suck, and Star Trek sucked. Like that's not the case at all. Like they are able to use him well.
You're not trying to cancel Star Trek.
I'm not.
You're not saying that Star Trek went woke.
No, right? No, but it's just, yeah. I don't know. Search for Spock, though, pretty underwhelming. I did like it more than, because I think I think my thumb has been really down on this movie, and I've been kind of very critical of it. But like, I don't think it was nearly as bad as the first time I watched it. The first time I watched it, I thought it was boring and dumb. And
the first time I watched it, I fell asleep. So
yeah, well, there was a yeah. Anyway, but like it's not a very good. It's funny because people call the motion picture boring, but I think this movie is way more boring because it's just kind of like, all right, well, when is Spock going to be back? And you're not like excited to see when he comes back. You're just like, all right, well, now he's 12. Now looks like about
now he's 16 and really horny.
Yeah,
and he may or may not have had a child with Savick.
And she gets written out of the next movie so fast. It's like,
yeah, they just get rid of her. Yeah, which, speaking of the next movie, Star Trek Search for Spock, is there anything else we want to talk about? Is there anything else we want to like mention in this section before we move on?
Oh, before I forget, Christopher Lloyd's death made me laugh out loud.
Okay. Remind me again how he fell off the cliff, right? Kirk kicks him in the face.
Yeah, he kicks him into lava.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm tired of you. Get out of here."
Yeah, it was really, I don't know. There's something about it, like, it just looked so silly. And I just thought it was really funny. And because I hate the trope of kicking characters to their death into, like, fire.
I mean, you know, where does the lighting from the lava come from, Caleb?
Exactly. This movie was so unrealistic.
This movie was really unrealistic. I've never seen a fucking Klingon before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Except at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So yeah, Search for Spock. It's okay. It's all right. I guess it's the middle part. It's the middle one. It's the one in the middle.
Yeah. It's not the worst that we're gonna get, but it's not the best either.
It's not the worst. It's not the best. I think that's a pretty good way of summing it up. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving on to one of my favorite Star Trek films. Caleb, would you like to introduce the next movie?
Yes, I would. Next up, we have Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, or Voyage, however you want to pronounce that.
Okay, Charlie Brown.
Directed by Leonard Nimoy. Written by Nicholas Meyer, Peter Kreiks, Steve Mearson, and story by Harv Bennett and Leonard Nimoy, based on Star Trek, created by Gene Roddenberry. Cinematography by Donald Peterman, edited by Peter E. Berger. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to laugh at people's names. I don't know why that was so funny to me. Starring William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, George Takei, James Doohan, Walter Koenig, Nichelle Nichols, Robin Curtis, Jane Wyatt, Catherine Hicks, Mark Leonard, Robert Ellenstein, John Shook, Majeel Barrett, and Kirk R. Thatcher. And the synopsis is the crew of the Enterprise must travel back in time to the 1980s to find some humpback whales that will save Earth in the future.
And I just realized now that you read the intros for both of these films. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
I will make it up to you next week. Caleb, this is the one with the whales.
Hell yeah.
As far back as I can remember, Caleb, this was the one I always heard about, was the one with the whales.
Yeah, me too.
And I think for two reasons. One, because there's fucking whales in it, Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
There be whales here, all right? And the second reason is because this was actually filmed near where I used to live, up in like the Bay Area and Monterey Bay.
Oh, wow.
Area of California. Yes, I grew up south of the Bay Area, east of Monterey. And I've been to San Francisco numerous times, and I've been to the Monterey Bay Aquarium a few times as well. There weren't any whales when I was there. But yes, this is the one with the whales. Caleb, how do you feel about The Voyage Home? Is it a whale of a good time? Or does this movie sink like Captain Ahab's ship?
Oh, my God. I think this movie is a whale of a good time. I think this is a delightful, charming movie. That it's really funny because if you I'm going to say something, this might be controversial. If you look at this film as a part of a trilogy with Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock, it doesn't really work because like the connection's really at the beginning and end of the movie. But if you look at this as just a fish out of water or whale out of water, Star Trek like comedy film / goofy episode of TOS, this is a great time. It's probably the funniest Star Trek movie.
It's pretty hilarious, yes.
And I think Leonard Nimoy does a great, like his directing is like even better here. I think he is really great at like directing comedy scenes. William Shatner,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this review where someone said that William Shatner has this like light in his eyes the entire movie, and it's like he just looks like he's having a ball. Like he loves doing this shit.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most fun that the crew of the Enterprise have had. And yeah, the comedy scenes are great. And we really have, who we have to thank for the comedy scenes really is my best friend, Kristen Stewart's father-in-law, Nicholas Meyer, who was in charge of writing a lot of the scenes on Earth, which is where the which is where a lot of the very funny comedic scenes are. And it's great. I mean, this is such a fun, lighthearted romp. It's been said by many people that this is the Star Trek movie for people who don't like Star Trek movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it really does feel like that, because I feel like you could just jump right into this film, you know, because there are some, like at the end of the movie, or at the beginning of the movie, there's references to the previous film, and at the end as well, there's some references too, but like they don't really have anything to do with the actual plot, and you can just jump in and just watch this film.
Yeah,
you don't have to watch Star Trek. You can just watch this.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's just charming and fun. It's also like it's you also have this really great, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is they also like know how to like play off of the characters like being in like the 80s, which was the modern day when it was made, so well, because it's like you have like them all being confused because they don't have money. They don't have to spend money in the future. So they're all like, well, fuck, we can't do anything without money. So we're going to have to figure out a way to get money. And they don't know how much, if what's a lot of money and what's a little bit of money. You get the really great bit where Chekhov is just going up to people in the 1980s with a Russian accent going, where are the nuclear vessels? And it's so fucking funny and great. And then whenever he gets captured and is being interrogated, he just like doesn't understand why they're being mean to him and why they don't trust him.
Yeah. No, it was very funny seeing him like go up to the cop and like, where are the nuclear vessels? And then you have that great scene where he asks the pedestrian like where's Alameda? And she's like, oh, it's in Alameda. And he's like, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Which apparently was an improvised line. He that was his actual reaction to her saying that.
That was really good. It's a bummer because Sulu and Uhura don't get anything to do.
Well, Sulu gets the helicopter.
Oh yeah, Sulu does get the helicopter. There's a deleted scene where they were supposed to have a scene where Sulu meets his like great grandfather as a child, but the child actor that they hired couldn't stop crying, so they couldn't film the scene.
What?
Yeah.
Why was he crying? Was he okay?
I don't know. He was just he kept screaming and crying apparently.
Was he crying because he got to meet George Takei?
He was so excited.
I mean, when I met George Takei, I almost cried too. Yeah. So I was like, George Takei, here's your bottles of water.
And but the thing is, so the actor I was alluding to with their performance in this movie, it is George Takei.
Okay.
So Anthony, I'm really curious if you also felt this. Did you? And please tell me if you think that I am reading too much into this. George Takei looked fucking irritated as shit this entire film. He looked like he did not want to be there, and maybe this is really me reading too much into it based on what we know about these two. Anytime William Shatner addresses him specifically or is talking in a scene, George Takei looks fucking angry and annoyed by him. Maybe
I have to go back and rewatch it. He could have been annoyed by the fact that there was some kid who wouldn't stop crying. Maybe that ruined the whole production for him. I don't know. He's like, this fucking kid won't stop crying. I'm trying to film my scene.
To give me one scene. And it's just...
And this fucking kid ruins it. This fucking child actor ruins this shit. What the fuck?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. There's something about him, like, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but he just looked really annoyed the whole time. But, which I'm not saying that that's bad. I mean, that's okay. Like, I'd be annoyed if this is my fourth movie and I've had like 10 lines of dialogue as well. Mm-hmm. And if I had to hang out with William Shatner for longer than 2 seconds.
You don't want to hang out with the Shat Man? What the fuck?
I mean, I would. Okay. I don't know if we get along.
You could talk to him about wrestling. You'd be like, "Hey, you're in the WWE Wrestling Hall of Fame."
Yeah, you inducted Jerry Lawler into the Hall of Fame. Jerry Lawler's had over 14 matches. Google Jerry Lawler 14 to learn more.
Oh, Jesus! Oh no!
But anyway, but yeah, like this is such a delightful film. Like, and also, so you know the whale woman that they meet.
The whale.
Sorry, woman? Because this is Star Trek, so I should clarify. She's not a whale woman.
Wait, what? What do you? Are there more than one whale woman?
Like,
What are you talking about?
The scientist that Kirk gets like a romantic thing with.
Oh yeah, where he's like, I love Italian.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. She so that character was originally supposed to be played by Eddie Murphy.
I remember reading this. Yes.
I don't think that they would have had the romantic subplot because they're cowards, but but like originally, like, it was supposed to be Eddie Murphy, which I think that would have been a different movie, but I think he would have fit, especially with the comedic elements, really well.
Yeah, he would have. And apparently he was also like a huge Star Trek fan, so he like requested to be in the film.
That's so cool.
And yeah, and I guess his character, he was going to be playing like a professor or something, or like maybe a biologist. I don't remember exactly what it was. But there was another character who was supposed to be like Eddie Murphy's friend in the movie, who was a journalist character.
Oh.
And so there was going to be two human characters, or there's more than one human character, but two characters who were going to like kind of meet the starship crew. But after Eddie Murphy wasn't able to do it, they combined both those characters, and that's how we got the character played by Catherine Hicks. What did you think about her character? She loves whales, she loves Italian, and she drives a pickup truck, and she may or may not be a lesbian. That's my headcanon.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought she was good. I thought she was a good element, because you have to have someone who kind of like is going, who like, where Kirk is saying all this and Spock are acting crazy, and they're just kind of like, all right, you guys are interesting, but like there's something really weird about you. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And she fit that really well and did a really great job. But yeah, like I wouldn't say the character was super in depth and like amazing, but I thought that for what her purpose in the story was very good, and and I think Catherine Hicks like did give a really solid performance, and she has really good chemistry with William Shatner.
Yeah, she does. I mean, totally makes me forget about the fact that her character is definitely a lesbian.
Yeah,
but
and also she drinks a Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm in full support of women who drink Michelob.
Do you like Michelob?
Sure. I don't.
I mean,
I don't drink Michelob.
Anthony? What if I told you that I once had a conversation? I'm going to change everybody's names for this.
Okay.
But I once had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was telling me, this is last year. She was telling me, or I was like, hey, like, have you ever like seen somebody actually drink a Michelob? Just casually. And she was like, oh, I mean, it's just like a trashy white people beer.
Oh, okay.
And
I was unaware of that distinction.
And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I was like, that's really funny. And then what if I told you that the next day, one of the dumbest people I have ever known in real life walked by me while I was at work, and they were holding a giant can of Michelob Ultra.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah, actually, that story is funnier if you know the full context of who both of those people are, but that's what I think about, and I didn't notice that that's what they ordered last time I watched it, but you know, and as much as I am against that beer, it does look, whatever they had in those glasses, whether it was real beer or not, it looked delicious.
It was most likely apple juice, probably.
Fuck. I mean, I like apple juice, though. It's good.
I do, too. And you know what? They probably got the apple juice from Martinelli's Apple Farms, because that is in Watsonville, which is right near Monterey. So there you go.
Yeah, put a little.
We're learning so much about the area of the state that I'm from.
Yeah, and which I love hearing about that. And we're probably not going to talk about me growing up in Tulsa, because that's not fun. But I was gonna say, if you ever want a good recipe, you know, it's spooky season. It's October. The holidays are coming up, and if you would like a delicious, wintry drink, cocktail, as long as you're 21 and up. I would recommend you mix a little bit of Fireball salmon whiskey, a little bit of apple juice, and a little bit of vanilla vodka, and you have yourself a delicious apple pie in your mouth in liquid form.
Vanilla vodka and Fireball, that is just, hearing that makes me sick already.
Yeah. See, I made it during the pandemic, and I just remember really liking it, but I also don't like sugary drinks now.
It's more that those are two things that I drink a lot in college.
Oh, that's fair.
So, yeah, I don't drink either of those things anymore. Speaking of minor characters in this film, one of the most famous scenes in this movie, one of the most liked scenes, a fan favorite, if you will, is the scene where Kirk and Spock are on the bus, and there's a punk rocker.
Yes.
Who's listening to some punk rock music on his stereo, and maybe it's a little too loud. Maybe he's annoying everyone around him, causing some noise pollution, if you will.
Yeah.
And Spock gives him a Vulcan nerve pinch. What do you think about this scene, Caleb? What is your opinion of the punk rocker on the bus?
Well, it's kind of complicated because on one hand, it does paint like punk rockers as being like, oh, like we're loud and we don't care about anything, which like I think
which very much was the narrative back in like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and I know it's based on like an actual interaction Leonard Nimoy had, where like there was a guy listening to a radio too loud wearing a leather jacket, and he was like, "Oh, I wish I could Vulcan nerve pinch him." And like my thing is just like, look, like most punk people who like are genuinely love punk aren't like that. Me and you both love punk a lot, and it's one of those.
Some may even say that you and I we are punk rockers. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where like, look, like it's not punk rock to fucking be listening to stuff really loudly on the bus. Well, you were on the train, and what was the person? Didn't you tell me that there was a person loudly watching Big Mouth without headphones?
Okay, so this was a while ago. It was a weekend where I took the train a couple times. The first night I texted you, someone was on the train, and they were listening to like conservative MAGA rap.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't Tom McDonald, who's the only one I know by name. It was somebody else, but I could tell from the lyrics that it was like, it's like, hey man, I'm a conservative Republican and nobody likes me, whatever. Like, sorry, I guess. And then the following day I was on the train again, and somebody was watching Big Mouth or Loudmouth, whatever that Netflix show is. But yeah, the scene, the scene with the punk rocker is it is a funny scene, and it is kind of a fan favorite. But do you know, Caleb, that the punk rocker was played by this guy Kirk Thatcher?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about Kirk Thatcher?
I know he was in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
He was in Spider-Man: Homecoming. He was Leonard Nimoy's assistant at the time that this film was made.
Okay.
And he's also worked on some movies. According to his IMDb, his Internet Movie Database, he worked on visual effects for RoboCop 2.
Oh, shit.
Which is the only good RoboCop sequel, because RoboCop 3 is an abomination. He also worked special effects for Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah. But wait, Caleb, it doesn't stop there, because he's also a writer and a director. And specifically, one of the franchises that he has written and directed quite a bit of is in the Muppets franchise.
What?
He has written and directed multiple Muppets films, including The Muppets Take the Bowl, Muppets Haunted Mansion, and then of course the classic that everyone knows, Muppets Treasure Island.
Oh my god! Wow.
He was a writer for Muppets Treasure Island. He was also a writer on the seminal 90s TV series Dinosaurs.
What the
And then
fuck?
he also has credits on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and some other stuff in here as well. But yeah, he's had quite the career himself, and he's more than just a punk rocker. He was also, and I don't have the name of the character in front of me, but he also was an actor in Werewolf by Night, the Disney Plus original.
Shit.
Yeah, so he's done quite a bit. And the last bit of trivia in relation to him and his scene and his character is that the song that he's listening to on the radio is a song that he wrote and performed himself.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about Kirk Thatcher. Just one of those things where he played such a small role. He's in the movie for like 1 minute. He tells Kirk and Spock to like go fuck themselves or something, and then he gets Vulcan nerve pinched. And then his face falls on the radio and turns it off, which was also his idea.
Oh,
so,
nice. Well, he's already directing. He's got the eye for cinema.
he already knew a thing or two about comedic storytelling. Let me tell you what, bucko.
Wow.
So yeah, there you go.
That's so cool. I was because I knew that he was in Spider-Man: Homecoming in one scene, but yeah, I had no idea.
Well, now you know, Caleb, and that's why we do this. That's why we do this podcast, because we want to tell people things. We also, not only do we want to tell people how we feel about these films and stuff, but we also would like to impart some fun little tidbits and knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's fun to. It's also fun because I didn't know any of that, genuinely. So I was learning about it whenever the listeners were, unless they already knew about that.
I'm sure that there's probably somebody out there, like one guy who's really angrily typing in our Spotify comments. He's like, I already knew all this. So
yeah. Sorry, Bucko.
But anyway, the rest of the film, they save the whales, Caleb, because the whales get let out to sea.
Yes.
And they're getting hunted by the whalers, and there's this great scene where they're going after the whales in their Klingon ship. They have the cloaking device on, and they're able to get the whales and bring them back to the 24th century or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we think about the whole climax, the climactic ending of this film, where we see the whales?
I think it's really fun, and first of all, it's always great to look at some whales. No complaints there, and I think it was really solid. It was fun, and I think it also ended the film in a really natural way. Like you kind of have this buildup where you're kind of like, what is the conflict going to be? Like, because it seems like it's been too easy for them to just get the whales, but then you have this element of having to set the whales free, and then the whalers and everything, and it was really tastefully done, and it also does bring to light an actual issue, which is they don't hunt whales and don't destroy entire species.
Yeah, which luckily, whale hunting now is definitely not as much of an issue and anymore as it was back then, and also the humpback whales, I think are doing much better now, numbers wise. I don't have the facts in front of me, but yeah, they're doing much better now. And it was great. It was cool that they had a movie that brought to light a real issue, and they did it in a fun and entertaining way where it didn't feel like an after school special.
Yeah, and so I was gonna ask you, I don't know if you noticed this, but the aliens that are talking to the humpback whales.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that they kind of sound that they use this? And I don't know if it's the same sound, but it sounds like Mothra in the old Godzilla movies. Oh,
interesting. I did not notice that. No, I'll have to go back and listen to that again.
Yeah, it made me very happy. It reminded me of my old pal Mothra.
Your old pal Mothra. We love Mothra here at the Viva Film Podcast. Mothra's fucking cool. That's cool. I'll have to go back and listen to that. So they bring the whales back to the 24th century, but that's not all they brought back. They also brought back Catherine Hicks.
Yes.
What do you think about this? About the fact that they have this woman from 1980s San Francisco, and they bring her to the future. It's kind of to the future of Star Trek.
It's like Back to the Future 3, where Christopher Lloyd he falls in love with that woman who's destined to drive off of a cliff.
Oh, okay.
But they don't say anything explicitly like that. Oh, she's not gonna do anything. It's just on one hand, it's kind of fun that she's just in the future and gets to do future stuff. But on the other hand, it's it seemed like she was doing important work back home. Maybe leave her there so she can help.
Well, she did make the point that there's nobody in that century who is a whale expert, so they need somebody who knows a thing or two.
That is a good point.
Yeah. Now, of course, Star Trek, the franchise as a whole, notorious for having dozens upon dozens, maybe even hundreds or even thousands of books. I am curious, is there a book about Catherine Hicks' character and her adventures after she comes to the to the Star Trek future?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's out there. If any of our listeners know of any solo books for Catherine Hicks' character, send them our way, because I'd be interested to see. I'd be interested to see what her adventures are. And if they don't exist, then hey, maybe you and I should write some adventures for her.
Yeah, Star Trek Whales in Space.
Whales in fucking space, dude. That is the next. That is going to be the next Star Trek film.
You know what other franchise has space whales?
Is it the one that shall not be mentioned?
Yeah, they have space whales that can go to hyperspace.
That's so fucking dumb.
No, I know it's in Rebels. That's like the whole climax of that series.
I never saw Rebels, so I don't know if you're making that up.
I could be. There's only 3 episodes of Rebels even worth watching. Don't. It's just a kid's show.
Caleb, we said we're not going to talk any more shit about Star Wars.
I didn't even say Star Wars.
You got me there.
But it's we got to stop mentioning Star Wars.
All right, back to the trek amongst the stars. So we finished the search for Spock. We finished the voyage home. Like, where do we go from here? Like, let's pretend you haven't seen the following films. Like, what would be your what would be your pitch for like the next Star Trek film? Like, what the hell would they even do next?
I do like a film that kind of like explores the new dynamic of the crew as they're now 10 years older than they were when they were 10 years older last time. And it's like, they're getting up there. Kirk is probably nearing retirement. Maybe you get some new younger cast members to kind of pass the baton to. And maybe get into a classic Star Trek scenario where they go to a planet and they meet a new species, and you have like a villainous character who's played by like a character actor who would have been around in the 80s, like the dude from fucking like Bob Hoskins could be the villain. And
ooh, yeah, I'd love to see Bob Hoskins play a Klingon.
Yeah, and you just you can just do some really interesting things and just have like a fun Star Trek adventure that makes you think. You give every member of the crew something to do in a meaningful way, and
we could do a spin-off of Uhura and Sulu.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they go on an adventure together.
Yeah, and like I think you could do a lot of really interesting stuff with that. And but Anthony, is that the direction that they went in for the next movie?
No, it's not. It's not what they did. They did something else. They did something stupid.
Yeah.
I think next week is the first week that we actually talk about a film that we genuinely dislike.
Yeah, like there's only 3 of these movies that I'm going to be like, I think this is a bad movie that I dislike. Okay. And now, don't get me wrong, it's fun to talk about movies we don't like on here, but it makes me sad because I like talking about good movies. So
I do too. I generally like to talk about good movies as well. But next week, or the week after next, because it seems like this may be bi-weekly for the foreseeable future. But on the next episode, we will be talking about a film that you and I both don't like. However, paired with a film that you and I both actually quite enjoy a lot.
Yeah, maybe it's the best Star Trek movie.
I would say it's probably second best.
Oh my god! Behind
first best is Wrath of Khan.
Yes, Wrath of Khan. That's what I said too.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Section 31. Before we head out, though, one more little fun fact about Voyage Home that I forgot to mention. Voyage Home was the first Star Trek film to be shown in the Soviet Union.
Is it actually?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, they did a special screening in the Soviet Union for the Voyage Home. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything else we want to say before we peace out of here, before we beam back up to the new Enterprise A?
Well, I will be taking a shuttle. I will not be beamed up.
Okay.
Because it might.
I will be on the shuttle.
It might kill and clone you, and
it might kill you. It might clone you. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. But yeah, just if you're listening to this and you're listening to me and Anthony, and you're like, man, wow, Star Trek sounds fascinating. Like, where can I get more Star Trek content? There's so much Star Trek out there, like movies, shows. Like there's a shit ton of it I haven't watched.
There's a bunch of books, a bunch of comic books.
Oh yeah, I have read a Star Trek comic.
Which one?
I read the Star Trek: The Next Generation comic where they go to the mirror universe.
Okay, wait, was this when they were being published by was it Marvel or DC?
It was either IDW or Image.
Okay, so it must have been recently then.
Yeah,
because I think IDW has the license right now.
Yeah, because they made Data buff and scary, and I didn't like it.
Oh, Data's buff and scary.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll have to read that.
Oh, you sound like Tasha Yar. Calm down.
Yeah. Would I want to be with Tasha Yar, or do I want to be Tasha Yar? That's the question.
That's the question we're all asking.
It's the question I'm asking.
No.
All right, now that we've ended both episodes being thirsty after TNG cast members, we will sign off. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Viva Film Podcast. My name, it's Anthony.
And my name's Caleb.
And live long and prosper. We will see you next time. Good night. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of Viva Film. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and give us a rating. Shout out to Tommy Red Flemming for designing our logo. And please join us again next week on Viva Film.